Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode 21, in fact, of Roll20 Presents The Burning Wheel. It's that hot circle you like so much, and it's back. We're back. We're rolling into town with another adventure. Though it's not really adventure, it's just like a lot of sadness and suffering, and occasionally people get their pants pulled down. But hey,
only the one time.
Only the one time. That's true. I was thinking about on our lead up to the episode while I was sitting here in solitude thinking about the show and making some notes. I was thinking about how funny it is that kind of thing happens where you're like, I just need like an NPC for this thing, and then I'm gonna torment him, and now he's a major part of my character's life.
That's feelings.
Here we are. He's a real person. Yeah. So, welcome back, everybody. I spent several hours last night burning up some NPCs. I've done 9 now. So 9 of the like 17,000 characters in the game have like backstories.
Like 17,000 might be an overstatement.
Yeah.
I don't think Carpathia, or whatever this town in Carpathia's name is, I don't think it's that populous.
I don't know. It's a capital, right? It has the castle in it.
It's a city state, right? Are we talking like greater Metro Carpathia, or just like?
I was just talking this specific city that we're all running around in.
That is Carpathia, though.
Okay. Do you think it has 17,000 people in it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Well, here, let's look up medieval city size.
Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is some fucking nerdy shit here. Medieval demographics made easy. Population density, how many in that kingdom? City and town population. So big cities historically range from 12,000 to 100,000 people, with some exceptional cities exceeding this scale. Some historical examples include London, 25,000 to 40,000, Paris, 50 to 80,000, Genoa, 75 to 100, and Venice, 100,000 plus. Moscow in the 15th century had a population in excess of 200,000 people.
Jesus. What?
Okay. Well, then, I mean, proven wrong, I guess.
Yeah, this website, Medieval Demographics Made Easy. This is some stuff. So, for example, in a city with a support value of, let's see, there's one spice merchant for every 1,400 people in an area. So let's see here.
Spice merchant for every 1,400.
One
character, you've got to burn up the spice merchant.
Yeah, in case you need it.
Or like 3 of them. I don't know.
This is so interesting.
3 competing spice merchants. We're learning so much about the Burning Wheel today.
Yeah, one bookseller for every 6,300 people.
That makes sense. More spices than books.
Yeah. One weaver or one shoemaker for every 150 people.
I mean, you need a lot of shoes for 17,000 people.
Yeah, you gotta have someone to cash in those character points. Yeah.
I mean, maybe one person has more than one pair of shoes. Alessandra guaranteed has more than one pair of shoes.
So that would mean if our city, let's go on the low end and call it, because like, I figure Carpathia, it's a city-state. There isn't a lot of other people around. I think the census takers probably include like the villagers and some of those people. I'd say it's probably around the range of like 40,000.
But but it's not like the biggest city in the realm. Or
whatever. Oh, no. I mean, it's the biggest city in Carpathia because it is Carpathia. But compared to the Lapis Federation or compared to, like other more...
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, Carpathia is not going to be as big as cities.
Hey,
areas.
Quick question on the demographic. Is that 40,000 people before Miro or after Miro?
Right. BM or AM. I think that's probably before. I think we've dwindled. Like, I would say that probably like 10 to 25% of the population has died of starvation or exposure. Yeah.
And yet Miro was a good boy.
I mean, listen, goodness. So what the important thing here is that in the city of Carpathia, the city-state of Carpathia, there are probably around 267 shoemakers, okay? So if you want to circles up like the head of the shoemakers legion, now you know how many people they have.
The shoemakers legion.
Yeah, it's a small legion. It's one of the smaller ones.
Okay.
Listen,
wouldn't it be more like a guild?
Yeah, they're a loose organization. Okay, well let's account.
Now I'm waiting for the shoemakers.
So let's say the population has been reduced to 30,000. That means that if you need to find a glove maker, which is a much more difficult. Let's see, divided by 2,400. There's only 12 people. There's only 12 people in all of Carpathia that can make you gloves.
And that's assuming that glove makers were insulated from dying of
Oh no, this is the post Miro glove maker amount.
I mean, maybe the glove makers outlived their.
Because they had gloves.
So now we can calculate how many glove makers Miro killed, because before Miro let the angel loose on the city, there were, let's see, 2,400. Let's see here, 40,000 divided by 2,400. There used to be 16 glove makers.
So you killed 4 glove makers.
One of those glove makers was Alessandra's favorite. I'm just letting you know.
Oh no, you killed 4 glove makers. How dare you? You know,
Yep.
you kill 25% of the population, and it's a statistic, but you kill 4 glove makers, and your ass is a murderer.
Miro is not a good boy.
Okay.
Yep, this is good stuff. See, this is the kind of shit that not only do I find interesting and funny, but I know that this is the crap that Luke and Burning Wheel headquarters likes too. So I know they would be very pleased by this stupid conversation. It's sort of irrelevant, except to prove that there are a lot of NPCs to burn up, and I have done many of them. I think all I really have left to flesh out are Emma, Charlotte, and maybe Saltpeter, if we think he's going to come up again.
You know he's gonna come up again, right?
Yeah, I've got pretty much everybody else that matters more or less squared away. Which is
There's no way that I'm not going back to the guy who can provide me with acid napalm. Like, it's just not gonna like.
That's also the name of his thrash metal band. He's the lead singer and lead guitarist. Yep. Yeah, people have been suggesting that I burn up the Magus, but
Not really central right now.
he's not really central, and he's kind of like, he's not really in NPC territory. He's kind of in like, here there be dragons. Like he's very powerful and kind of like unhinged, and like he's a supernatural effect at this point. Yeah, he stands astride the like realm of spirits and man, but we'll see. We don't know what happened to him. I figure he's like in the sewer performing weird rituals now. But let's talk about the characters that actually matter. Let's talk about the characters that mean a damn in this game. Let's talk about the PCs. So let's go through our beliefs, instincts, and traits, and then we'll jump into it, because I got some ideas. I got some thoughts about today's episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got some thinking. So as we do, shall we begin with Joy?
Very well, dear friend. So my beliefs, Joy's beliefs, are the king is at home with the crow. I should pay them a visit and let my former master know I still live. Every upstart needs an accomplice. I will make sure Emilio is loyal to me over Katerina. And truth was a friend. I'll figure out what he wants and get it for him, ingratiating myself and securing his friendship once again. My instincts are, when anyone speaks of God, laugh. Always keep an eye for no one can see it, and confront every boast with an ugly truth. My character traits are off-kilter, scapegoat, ashen eldritch, and bootlicker. And my die traits are numb, dreamer, and lame. And my call-on traits are aura of innocence, keen taste, the fool, and cold-hearted.
Excellent.
It's such a shame that we realized that you have 25% less boots to lick. We have this to do.
Listen, the website did not provide me a number of bootlickers per capita, so I can't. We have at least one.
Think of how many boots will go unlicked now.
If somebody dies, you probably steal their boots. So, like, maybe you'll be okay.
I feel like there's 2 versions of this trait. This one's a metaphor. There's like a literal version, but you don't have that one. That's different.
No.
Excellent. Cool. So yeah, it seems like Joy is being pulled in a bunch of different directions, which is good, because it means that whatever direction you get pulled in, there's probably something interesting there.
There's fate there somewhere. Yeah.
Exactly. I like it. Cool. All right. Agatha, let's talk about your beliefs, instincts, and traits.
So Agatha believes that Robillard seems to think he has knowledge. I must join our 2 bodies of knowledge together. Survival is the only morality, and I must learn more about this sister and why she chose her faith over the tradition of the woods. My instincts are to never put something back in the wrong place and to always speak truth to power. I am always in the way, well-traveled, spooky, inscrutable, respectful of women, lupine, vindictive, pragmatic, misunderstood, fey-blooded, blind, gifted, spirit familiar, essence of earth, unsteady, rat speak, forked tongue, and Wolverine.
That is a lot of traits. I love it. Cool. And you don't know what you want your third instinct to be yet?
Yeah, I'm kind of like holding that for when I find like this is what it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. I dig it. All right. Blue Jay, let's talk about Alessandra.
Sure. Always happy to talk about Alessandra. So her beliefs are, I refuse to owe anything to Ludovic. I will get this middle-class upstart off my back. And I think that's pretty much going to stay until I actually give him back his fund.
Or find some other way to get rid of him. Yeah.
Or get rid of him. My second one is Soren has advised me to guide the king's ire toward the barbarians in the woods. I must learn of them to persuade the king not to go back into the castle. So he said to go to some church or something. A queen needs allies. I will gather the queen's inner circle to me. My instincts are never allow anyone to treat me below my station. Always redirect violence away from my person. And whenever I meet with a member of the court, recall a piece of gossip about them. My traits are your lordship, ambitious, well-dressed, independent, cosmopolitan, raven-haired, jealous, mark of privilege, rapier wit, and charming.
Excellent. I dig it. Cool. Those are all good. Ready to roll. And then last but not least, Ludwig. Dave?
Yeah. So we got a little bit of some changes, but mostly the same. So the idea of teaching the people of Carpathia how to defend themselves and not require the intervention or aid of their useless nobles is intriguing. I will write someone from home to learn more about the mercenaries from across the sea.
Now, normally this would be where I bust your ass about such a long belief, but I kind of think it's fine.
Yep, felt fun to me.
Yeah, it's long, but that's not bad. I don't think. I think this is okay.
Yeah.
I love watching the way, as we've played this, I love watching the way that different players write their beliefs and instincts and kind of like work out that space. It's neat because there's several ways to write good beliefs, and there's like tricks you can use to do them, but the actual execution of them is a lot looser, which is neat. So yeah, I like it.
Cool. So I understand the suffering of the peasants and lowborn. I will work towards bettering their lives through creating opportunities and boosting the economy. So a Fate Farm boy. And since I didn't get a chance to do it last week, Soren and Tabitha's grand adventure will require lots of preparation and organization. We'll start by finding out who in Carpathia is participating.
Nice.
So for my instincts,
Yep.
I wasn't sure about the first one.
Okay.
Because I had I will brush up on my general knowledge of markets whenever I have spare time. But I don't know how often that's going to be coming up because we do all of our practice in blocks.
So for a practice, I was thinking about this too because I was looking at your character sheet in between sessions. I noticed you'd changed it. So in the way that practice instincts work is you squeeze them in when you're doing other things. There's a bit of it in the practice section in the codex that talks about if you don't have an adventurous lifestyle, you can practice things like reading, writing, composition as part of your daily routine. So that there are activities that you perform when you get up, stuff you do before you go to bed. So this is just like for me, for example, as a person, before I go to bed at night, I tend to like read a book for like half an hour to an hour every night. So I'm logging an hour of reading practice time every single day. It's not in a big chunk. It's just little bits at a time, which means that if you have like one routine test that takes like a month, you're going to be marking like a couple of hours a day. So it would be on you and I to figure out like how much spare time you have in a given day. And then every time we describe a day passing, you can mark that much time.
All right. Yeah, I'm happy in that case. it was more. I wrote up an alternative one, just in case that was something we weren't interested in tracking.
I mean, I'm not interested in tracking it, but you are certainly welcome to.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's do that math real quick. For practice for you.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what a wise is. Therefore,
Wise is that special? I
might
think
be
wises are like really long time.
Yeah, what's the...
Isn't this silly book? Silly book.
Yeah, I'm looking. It's on 47 as all the practice stuff, and I'm not sure what type of skill wises are in terms of doing practice.
I think it's a special.
I think it is too.
In which case, the practice log is telling me a routine test. You'd have to practice for 3 hours a day for 3 months.
Okay.
For one routine test.
I'm not sure I can be bothered to do that, to be honest.
I say, do you think Lodovic has 3 hours a day? No, it doesn't have to be 3. You could do 1 hour a day for whatever, like 9 months.
To get one routine test.
To get one routine test, yeah.
I reckon he has 3 hours to do markets wise a day, especially since it's like part of his job.
Yeah, sure. I think that's reasonable.
But I think the pace of the game is going to be such that I would much rather make those tests in game. So I'm going to get rid of that instinct.
Okay.
Put in my alternative one again, which is never ignore an opportunity for profit.
Yep.
Because that's going to get me in trouble a lot more quickly and make things interesting happen more often.
Yes, that's true.
Then I always have cash on hand and never go anywhere without Obram.
Mm-hmm.
My traits are self-satisfied, idealistic, materialistic, stocky, forward, patronizing, affinity for business, and penny-wise.
Excellent. Good stuff. Okay, cool. So those are all good, and we got the uncertainties squared away. So I would like to begin today's episode. I think this is like, I don't know, a couple of days after the last time that we saw Alessandra having that conversation with Soren. And it's kind of in the middle of like a day at court. So the king is attending to the courtiers that have business for him. I think currently we kind of fade in on a conversation where some kind of like agricultural minister is reporting some very bad news about the overall sort of state of things in Carpathia.
Having been winter for quite some time.
Yes, that it should in fact no longer. We've gone all the way through the natural winter, right, with downtime and play. It should be spring. And so the king is currently kind of bogged down in a lot of conversations about like, well, this is what we should be doing, but the winter is still, the weather is still here. It's still winter. And obviously there's no like food and people are dying and we don't know what to do. And he's got like a foreign minister telling him like, you need to, reach out to the other kingdoms for help. And he's got his like religious advisors, telling him one thing. And the conversation that we have now is just him and a bunch of these people. And mostly they're arguing with each other about what the king should do. And the king is just kind of like watching sullenly, like listening, but brooding a little. And Alessandra, where are you when your like one of your aides comes to speak with you?
So this is like a meeting that the king is having?
So the king's meetings are held in public, these kinds of meetings. Basically, the court opens in the morning, and it goes throughout the day, and then the court is closed. But the king has meetings after that in private. But during the public court, all the courtiers gather in the hall, and then he talks to them in order, right? Someone calls out their name, they come up, they talk to the king, etc. Sometimes other courtiers get involved, but for the most part, it's just like a series of addresses with the king. Normally, the king would have a full complement of advisors, right, that would be there with him, that would be listening and advising him on his purposes here. But the advisory board has dwindled somewhat since the unpleasantness, and so we're down to like the king, the treasurer, and then. Like, he doesn't have either of his magic users anymore. He doesn't have his legal counsel, right? He doesn't have the Justicar. Basically, he's got you, I guess, as the sort of informal, like, mistress of the house in your informal position of being allowed to attend because this is your home. That sort of hospitality rule.
Yeah, but not really being allowed to interject or have opinions or
yeah. You're allowed to listen and to sit in a place of honor, but you don't get to lean over and be like, Your Highness, because you're not like on his council.
Yeah.
Are there like a lot of empty chairs?
There wouldn't be because this wasn't originally made for this.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
there might be empty chairs if this was in the castle, but this is just a small.
I don't know. Just the mental image in my head was like, oh, people are missing.
Yeah, no, it's crowded anyway. Like, it wouldn't be able to hold the full court, but you're in the great hall of Alessandra's home. So the anemic kind of atmosphere you feel less like it's less obvious because you're all crammed into a small space. So as usual, tensions are high. People are kind of being jostled. Everyone is feeling the effects of winter. And what's strange is that the days are going to start getting longer, but the weather won't get any better because the Angel of Winter hasn't affected the sun or the like turning of the metaphysical earth in this case, but it is just fucking cold and wet all the time. So it's going to be longer days, shorter nights, but it's still winter. So where are you during this, Alessandra? Are you sitting at the king's side, or are you like off talking to someone else doing something within the crowd of courtiers, or are you just not present at all?
I feel like there's two things. Like Alessandra would either want to be like symbolically power coupling, like be like, yeah, I'm next to the king and I'm not saying anything, but I'm probably nodding and pretending like I understand, or like trying to make sense of it with a little bit of reading that I've been doing. Or she would want to be like still at the table and present as like a person to pay attention to, but like far enough away that she could like maybe whisper to the lady treasurer and ask for some explanation if there was something, or like another.
The lady treasurer has made sure that the king is between you and her.
Of course.
She does not stand near your seat so as to avoid you whispering anything at her right now. So yeah, I mean, I guess my question to you, as Alessandra, is: does Alessandra have the fortitude to spend like 10 hours a day just sitting there being seen and like not doing anything?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like she's very concerned about appearances. She always has been. And this is kind of like, she sees it as almost being like queen in training or whatever. Like, this is something that like that other queen did all the time. So like, if I can't do it, then like that's, so she would probably like be at the point, and we've talked about how like she goes to the library like after everyone's like sleeping and does her like reading tests or whatever. And like, she's still managing an estate. So she probably does that like external to this as well. She's probably not getting a whole lot of sleep, but, yeah, she definitely like is conscious of being present and associated with the king and also with the rulership of the kingdom in a way, so she would, even if she was there talking to no one and saying nothing. But I think that like it's either or. I would really like to, I don't know if there is another member of the Queen's Circle that has crossover with this like advisory group that could talk to her if the lady treasurer was just like F no.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that we could reinstate someone there, but like the court is still kind of like important people. There's still a lot of that. A tragedy has occurred, and some people are still MIA.
So I would have to circles them.
Yeah,
to
you definitely have to circle
present
like
at the next one of these, or could I circles them to have them present now?
Yeah, you could roll circles now if you want to have someone who's like. So you're asking for
I'm trying to get I'm working on getting the Queen's Inner Circle.
Sure. Yeah, no, of course. So you want someone who is part of the Queen's Inner Circle who would be also have an affiliation with the King's Council, right? Because the King, we haven't figured out, because I want to leave room for circles in this case, but the King's Council is, I imagine, like the high advisors, and so as we need them, we can just fill these roles.
Yeah. For me, I think it's that like you said, there's a lot of people who are missing. And I feel like it might not be someone who was originally part of the King's advisors, but is maybe wise enough and respected enough to like be allowed to
someone whose boss got frozen or whatever, and they got bumped up the ranks.
Yeah, so they were originally the Queen's Inner Circle person, and that's how I have a connection with
It's pretty specific, but I think that's fine. So you're looking for someone with...
Is it more or less specific than someone who is already with the King's stuff?
It's less specific, because the more information you give me, or the less specific you are, the more power I have to just make these decisions. The easier the circles roll is, but the more power I kind of have, right? So if you specify someone who just is a member of the King's Council, I get to decide why and how long.
So it would be.
But if you say someone who was appointed recently, then that's being slightly more specific.
So that it also
makes them test. It also makes them less good at their test. Now you can make a test first, right, before circles. You can do a link test with Noble Wise.
Yeah. Okay. I really want to have it be someone who was a member of the Queen's Inner Circle or is a member.
Okay.
That's important to my beliefs. So
absolutely, that's really important. So they have an affiliation with the Queen's Circle.
Mm-hmm. I'll take the harder test and see how
they're also a member of the King's Council.
It's gonna be hard.
And there's someone who is recently appointed to the King's Council. Is that like since the badness?
It doesn't have to be, but I just thought that someone who was part of the Queen's Inner Circle, like if they could be part of the King's Council, they wouldn't have also been part of the Queen's.
Well, the Queen has no. It's not official, right? Like the King's Council is made up of official positions, right? Mm-hmm. Like High Justicar, Minister of Coin. Like there's specific, the sort of Privy Council or whatever, they all have titles. Mm-hmm. The Queen's Inner Circle are just her friends. They were just her friends and advisors.
They don't have to have been recently appointed. I just thought that like if they had the more important position, why would they also be? But if it's not really a position, then
having multiple jobs means you have multiple power. But yeah, only one of them would be a job. Okay, so you're looking for someone who overlaps those two circles.
Yes.
Do you want to make the appropriate wise as a linked test first?
Yes.
Okay. So I think knowing about this kind of person, we'll say Ob 2, Noble Wise.
Okay.
Not difficult. They're in the spotlight.
So Ob 2 Noble Wise test.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Courtwise? Can I put Courtwise in with that? Okay.
Yeah, you can fork that for sure.
And I don't know, would observation or persuasion be like?
Observation maybe, because you know this from like watching the court, from having them around you all the time.
Okay, sure. Two forks then.
Sure.
Ob 2, you said?
So if you succeed at this link test, then you'll get a bonus. You succeed and get like one. If you can get 3, basically, you'll get a bonus die on your circles test.
Oh, we'll see.
There it is.
I did not get 3 though. So.
Okay. You got a 6, and you got fate. You got tons of fate.
Sure. Let's see if I can get that 1 extra.
Do it.
No, I cannot.
Okay. All right, that's fine. It doesn't make it any worse. You don't know them that well. You probably know them by title, by house, but you don't know them personally.
Okay, so it doesn't help with the circles test.
Right.
At least it didn't hurt.
After the circles test, you do have an instinct that kicks in too.
We're calling gossip?
Yeah. But let's make that circles test first. So, this person, You don't care what job they have for the king.
No.
Okay, so uncommon occupation. They're probably like higher. I want to say they're higher rank than you, rank, station, or class. But otherwise, they're all the same. So it's,
I mean, I'm pretty much the queen right now. So are they though?
you kidding me
Okay.
right now? You fucking kidding me? All right. So it's
I'm
gonna be.
just trying to argue my case. Okay.
I understand. It is unfortunately gonna be Ob 5. It's not an easy test.
Great. Awesome. Excellent. I've already committed to it and I don't have enough dice. So
So you've got a persona point. You got some fate points.
I mean, there's no way on even 5 dice that I could get that. Impossible.
It's not
Sure.
true.
Even cards.
Huh?
Cards.
I don't believe in the heart of the cards. I just don't know if I want to spend my like only persona point on a failed circles test.
This sounds like your decision.
Yeah.
No, I'll keep this. I'll keep the
Keep the persona?
point.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There's no way.
You got 3 out of 5. Dan, you got a 6. You want to spend a fate point?
I'll spend a fate point. Sure.
All right, roll that 6.
Nope.
Fate is not with you today. So this person exists. I'm gonna invoke the enmity clause. Because it's way more fun than just being like, no, that thing we just spent 10 minutes talking about isn't real. So +4 ob social enmity. But I think this person isn't a like, ugh, I hate Alessandra. This person is like co-opted in some other way. We will treat it in every way like a success, except that they don't have your best interest in mind, either on purpose or by accident. Maybe they're like a mole for someone else or whatever, but they are, they're someone who, and let's figure out who they are. And this is like a group thing. This person needs a name. They need a noble house they belong to, and we need a position for them. So what is a job that the king would not have allowed to lay open, right? Like they're not at war, so there's no like war master. He doesn't need one of those. The treasurer is still alive. And then what's another job that the
Head scribe for the court.
Some
Personally.
kind of-
Secretary.
I feel like that's not important enough to be on the
That's
king's
not important
council.
enough to be on
So
the
these
king's
these are people who say to the king like,
Oh, it's beyond the
my lord, I know better than you because this is my job, right? You're the king, you get to decide, but as this thing, I am
Could it be?
Oh yeah, my queen's council rep should have been on there, but it's fine. I didn't.
Oh, you have another die for that circles test, right?
I mean, I have an affiliation with nobility and with the queen's inner
So you have
circle.
two more.
I forgot.
You have 2 more dice. We'll roll them.
Yeah, those.
They're important.
I mean, but it's after
It doesn't matter.
That gets you the success.
There you go. All right, let me just cross off that enemy
Damn
clause.
it!
So like, yeah, that's the thing. You got to use the things you got.
I just didn't
But-
remember.
Yeah,
Can I
it's okay.
still make a suggestion on who this might
Oh,
be?
of course. Yeah, totally.
There would totally be someone in charge of like logistics, basically, like how much food do we have? Are people going to starve to death? Like, where do things need to
So
go?
the person that
Quartermaster.
it's like I think it's what Dave was thinking of, but it's the person that's keeping track, like the of all of the stuff that we have.
Is that different from the minister of the treasury? Is that different than
Yeah,
her job?
'cause it's not about the piles of
God,
money.
they hate each other because
Yeah, right.
his job is I need 17,000 gold ducats, and she's like, we've got 10, and you can't have any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the
Yeah.
name? What would be the name of that job?
Steward is pretty good.
Yeah. It's like the person in charge of is it purser? Like it's someone. Yeah, I know the job, right? Someone who like has agents out at the farms checking how much grain they're harvesting.
Yeah,
Someone who
because-
checks all the like how many cattle we have in the kingdom. This is the person who knows that there are 16 shoemakers in Carpathia.
This is the guy, yeah.
Because it's not like free market capitalism, right? Like it's a monarchy, and
Yes.
the serfs who make the food all like give it to someone else. They don't
Mhm.
actually like own the product of their own labor, and so someone has to manage all that.
Yeah, I like that they're also responsible for, like information about the kingdom. Like this person knows better than anyone exactly how many people have died since all this tragic shit started.
Yeah, they know exactly how many shoemakers have died.
So like the
Royal
king's
Emperor.
censor, something like that.
Count.
Sure.
The Count.
The count.
Very fun.
The count.
Okay.
Censor is pretty good.
Yeah, I like that. King censor. Blue Jay, what is the gender of this person?
Male.
Yeah, we don't have any men on the queen's like friend list.
Not yet. No.
Okay. So let's come up with a cool name for this person. Where are they from? Are they from here? Are they Carpathian? Chances are pretty
Yes,
good that they are.
they are from
Yeah.
Carpathia. They know this country very, very well.
Okay.
This dude is probably a noble who owns a lot of farmland.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Farmland,
like
which
a-
is right now lying fallow because it's frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's probably pretty pissed just generally.
He's probably buying up a lot of farms from peasants that are nearer the border because it's like the soil at the borders of the kingdom is actually tendable.
Let's come up with a good name for his house. Something fairly agrarian.
Let's look at this.
So, Adam, is he going to have the skill censorious debate?
He definitely has rhetoric.
Let me see.
But yeah, I would imagine that this guy would operate kind of like the seigneurie system in stuff like.
He's got an interesting relationship with whoever is responsible for the taxes too.
What about
Oh, God.
equity?
Yeah.
The high tax collector is the person in between the treasurer and the king's censor, because the king's censor is like, we have 40,000 people in Carpathia, and the tax collector is like, and I took this money from them, and the treasurer is like, thank you.
What about equity?
What is that?
Horse. Let's see.
I decided his first name is Radu.
Radu Equide?
Lord Radu. Horses I think you use for other things though. Like the
Okay.
war guy, would use horses too.
What about like a goat?
See, I was looking at like wheat
cow.
or something like
Yeah.
Let me take a look.
What about Cericium for thistle?
Thistle's already being used somewhere else.
Yeah.
A specific kind of thistle.
so wheat?
Gee.
Yeah, wheat is triticum.
Let me. The family is Poassier. Pretensis.
So many different species of wheat too. Oh, House Durham,
There you go.
obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. Why didn't we think of that?
House Durham, because it actually sounds like a house name. That's the trick, right? It's something that doesn't just sound like the Latin name for wheat. Cool. So Lord Radu, and he is he's a, if not a friend, someone that you know well enough to have him kind of available to you during these sorts of processions.
Is it Radu?
Yeah.
Got it.
Lord
And does the first circling count as a test towards?
Yes, it
friendship?
does.
Okay. Yeah, so I know him through my affiliation with the Queen's Circle, know of him, and probably because the Lady Treasurer is like very pointedly keeping herself out of reach. I'm probably, because the table's not very big. There's not a whole lot of people.
There's actually no table.
or the
there's
room.
the seats, the chairs for the king, for the queen, and then like for you, and then all the council, the like privy council, they have to stand, and then everyone else stands. All the nobles stand. Everybody stands. There's a lot of standing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe I've just like invited him to my side so that I can like pick his brain over things if I don't understand. Like
Yeah, I mean,
quietly.
He's got to stand somewhere. So. And so I think, yeah, when you get interrupted, like he's sort of like telling you something, he's giving you some context about, there's like a an important, not a farmer, but like in that feudal system, someone who owns the castle that is out in the farmlands to whom the peasants are paying. And he's come here to complain. And Lord Durham is explaining something to you. He's like whispering to you about like this person. Do you want to, before we interrupt you with the actual scene, do you want to roll up a gossip about Lord Radu?
Yeah. Let's see what I know about this guy. What have the court been saying, at least? Obviously, it's not. Yeah.
So again, same thing. Do you want to make something up, or do you want to just roll and I'll tell you?
I just want you to tell me something about Lord Durham, the new Lord Durham. What's the ob?
This is just an open test. The more successes you get. So it counted as a routine, but. Nice.
2 successes.
Cool. I assume you don't want to use a fate point on that 6?
No.
Okay. All right. So he the rumor goes that let's see, what would people say about this guy? Like, he has access to a lot of information that most people don't, I think.
He's trusted by the king and by the former queen.
The king trusts him, but the king also like zones out when he talks most of the time. Most of his business is past the king to the treasurer. Like, the triumvirate is the treasurer, the tax collector, and him, right? And they're the fucking paper pushers. Maybe. I mean, the rumor would be that he doesn't he doctors the papers for his own benefit, right? Like that he doesn't report as much as things have, and then he skims off the top and like sells it outside of Carpathia or something like that.
Maybe right? his farms are always reported exactly average.
Well, and that's the problem, is he's both a landowner and owns like several villages around Carpathia, and he's the guy that reports the profits of those. So he's got a massive
always, like,
massive conflict of interest. And so that's the rumor, right?
Okay.
Is that he's skimming and reporting incorrectly.
These goddamn nobles ruining everything for honest merchants like me.
I mean, who do you think he sells to?
Yeah,
okay.
Ludwig should be skimming those profits.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you have a servant come up to you, Alessandra, and this is no big deal. This doesn't happen. This happens all the time, right? Everybody has like
I'm sitting here for hours and hours
like
while my house needs to be run. Yeah,
whips or whatever that come up and tell them, like, you're all important. You got shit going on, so you have to tell your servants like, okay, do this, do that, or whatever. So a young man comes up to you and says, Lady Alessandra, an urgent letter for you, and like hands you an envelope. Actually, I guess it'd be a scroll. We don't have like envelopes yet. Hands you a rolled up scroll with a sigil marked in like umber wax of a corvid in flight. And so the servant hands it to you.
Family shit.
Come by messenger just now, milady. And then he bows and like descends back into the crowd.
Yeah, and it would probably be fine to open this now if it's urgent, right?
Yeah, totally. No one would like be like, ooh, she's checking her phone at council.
Yeah, right.
You're not anything important anyway. Like, you're just there to be seen. So.
Okay, sure. So yeah, I like look up and take the letter and don't say thank you because this is his fucking job.
Of course.
And then open it. What is it?
It is a letter. It's not immediately like addressed, but it begins with like, my dear Alessandra, when last we spoke, I fear I made a fool of myself, and I hope to make amends for that mistake. I was too aggressive with you, and I have regretted it ever since. I would request that you meet with me so that I might make my apology in person. And essentially, like, it's like it's a very well written letter. apologizing, but without being like, "Ugh, I'm so sorry." Like, it's inviting you to like, let me properly apologize and make good on when we last spoke. I have been carrying the weight of it in my heart all these many long weeks. And I feel that now more than ever, drawing family close to us is what is important. And yes, it is, of course, marked and signed with the personal signet both of a like bishop of the church and your house, and with the signature of Robillard Garrulus.
Yep. Uncle Robillard.
Yeah. Now you have a choice. You can say yes, or we can roll dice. So, are you gonna go, or do I need to persuade you?
I'm going to go.
Okay.
He's politely asking for my attention. And what was the Duel of Wits agreement? What was it?
The conditions of your Duel of Wits, way the hell back in episode 3, was that Father Robillard will stay in Carpathia, but will give you space to run your house.
Okay. Well, there's not technically anything in this about him taking over my shit. So, yes, I will go and visit my uncle.
Okay. All right. So, meanwhile, so he's given you an address to a place to meet. It is a I don't know if you recognize. It's just like in one of the like upper class like neighborhoods. I don't know if you know it right away. You can decide whether you want to like roll to see if you know or ask someone or whatever. But in the meantime, back at the HQ of the choir, Father Robillard and Agatha are in conversation, and we see Robillard. We probably start with the dripping of this wax on the outside of the scroll, and then him pressing a seal onto it and handing it to a servant, and then turning back to you, Agatha, and saying, I have something that I would like for you to do for me, Agatha. With me, in fact. A meeting I'd like you to attend.
That niece of yours, I suppose.
He nods and says, whatever we may think of them, the high courts of Carpathia do hold a sort of power in their blood. I think we can both agree there's power in blood. And I think we would be remiss to turn our back on them. You know my niece?
Spent a small amount of time at court. How could I not know her? Always nosy. Meddling.
I always thought that the women of our house were particularly suited to courtly life. Always twittering from one person to another. It wasn't for me, but I think that there's still something to be gained there. I feel we're missing out by not attending or having an agent in the court.
I'm not too popular there. And besides, the king never listens to me anyways.
The king has lost his way, I think. It's not him I'm concerned about. It's the court at large, their institutional power. I'll admit, expected it to fracture, for the court not to survive. Alessandra's rescuing of them was unforeseen. I have to admit to a certain curiosity, and your insights these weeks of late have proven most valuable to me. I would like you at my side for this meeting.
And she just like narrows her eyes at him. This isn't just some elaborate way of getting me killed, is it?
No, of course not. I understand that things with you and the court have been turbulent. There are some who consider you to be an enemy of the state for whatever unpleasantness happened to the Queen. Now, your business is your own. I have my own theories about these things, but I won't press you on them. Not yet, at least. But I feel I've seen your character, Agatha. I do not believe you to be the thing of evil that they claim you to be. And that's why I've chosen a neutral place for this meeting. Somewhere safe. For you, as well as for my niece.
All I ever did was try to end this cursed winter. Bureaucrats, religious types, all getting in the way. And she like crosses her arms, just like, I told them they should have done what I said. She's just very like, you know.
He says, kind of forlornly, he says, so goes the way of oracles. That's the burden of being able to see clearly. So often our voices go unheard. I've had those self-same conversations with bureaucrats of the church, elders with stubbornness more than sense. I've been accused of a heresy or two in my day as well.
Well, it's just a little heresy. It's fine.
Oh, just brush it off. It's just a little.
Yeah, every now and then people just call me a heretic. I'm like, yeah, you can't let that hold you down, Yeah. It's his own guy. He's doing his thing, Hey, sorry. I will get back into the scene. Yeah, and so Agatha just kind of like nods a little and says, imagine then my situation at court amongst those people and the difficulty of being believed.
Indeed. I once bore the shield of bishop to defend myself from these slanderous accusations. I suspect being accused of witchery is a whole other matter. The fact that you even survived, the fact that your gifts were significant enough to carry you to this place, speaks well of your part in all this, I think.
What do you need me to do there? To observe? To curse them?
I wouldn't think to tell you what to do, Agatha. I would hope that you wouldn't see fit to harm anyone in my family. Alessandra is someone that we can use, someone we can cultivate. So your subtlety would be appreciated, but I am not your master.
Sorry, yeah, so Agatha says there's a debt between her and I. One that has not yet been settled.
Is that so? And which of you owes the other what, if you don't mind my asking?
A spell was promised that has not yet been given.
A spell? Fascinating. What for?
We'll see.
You can see that makes him a little uncomfortable. Like he's a little like, we're going in and there's like a debt there. Like
there's some kind of mystical debt.
Yeah. Do you want to try to like soothe him into like, don't ask? Do you want to threaten? Like, how do you want to get him like to assuage him, or do you want to just leave him not necessarily trusting you?
Yeah, I think him being off his footing is good for Agatha, and so she doesn't want to be like, oh no, it's fine, it's not gonna be big. She wants to be more like, yeah, it's probably
so choosing. I will say this: choosing not to take an action here means you don't have control over that instability. You can still make a roll to be like, yes, be afraid of the witch powers. Like, don't ask because I'm in charge here of that thing.
Yeah, I think that's the role I want.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling too. That like, don't ask because you're not ready to know. Like, the
knowledge would destroy.
Exactly, because I think that's valid. That is a valid approach for that intent. For him to be like, all right, you're the witch. I'll trust you on this.
Yeah, and I think the approach she takes is to tell him. She just says, "Not for you to know. Private business between her and I."
Okay. Sure. I feel like this is just persuasion. It's like a little bit forceful. It's a little like, you're doing this for your own good, buddy.
Fork intimidation.
Yeah, you can fork intimidation because you're a little creepy. You're doing your witch thing.
Yeah. So I'm trying to beat his will of a Brazilian.
He is very willful. I think if he fails, he'll press you on it. Or if you fail on this roll, he'll
But
press
of course, Adam, first we must.
That's right.
The ritual of
gritting of the teeth.
Because throughout all of this, Agatha is fucking injured.
No.
Sadly, no. There's no successful gritting of the teeth.
Okay. So I still got my win penalty. Let's try to convince this nerd.
All right. So Father Robillard has a will of 6.
Like 6, right?
It is 6. Yes. So it's an ob 6 persuasion test.
Okay. So I'm definitely going to fork in intimidation. Is it appropriate for me to fork in one of falsehood? Or I think falsehood, because I'm deliberately not telling him stuff. I'm dodging being honest.
Yep.
And being mysterious
Yep.
instead. I think those are the only forks that make sense. I don't have grumpy bishop wise.
Grumpy former bishop wise, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless etiquette comes in, because it's about what is appropriate.
I think this is more like this is witch business and you don't need to know.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. So we'll do 2 modifiers.
Okay.
Trying to beat.
You have
6.
3 persona. Do you want to spend any of it?
I do have a real grip of persona here. Is this important enough? I don't think this doesn't relate to any of my beliefs exactly. So.
Yeah. There's also astrology if you have it. If you want to risk that.
Oh yeah. I'll work in astrology. For
Okay.
Sure.
So save that one for the extra
That
die on
comes
its own.
later. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Maybe it'll be the greatest astrology die in the history of the world. It will not.
No.
Okay. So here's the thing about Robillard. Robillard hates not knowing. He spent 10 years of his life like wandering from ancient library to ancient library, like desperately searching for secrets. He's not going to let a little bit of pushback from a witch dissuade him.
Yeah, he's just like, oh no, we're gonna talk about this. Like,
so
he doesn't let it.
he says, I'm afraid that won't do, Agatha. While certainly I respect your rights as your own and to be shared in good time, I have to know the connection between you and my niece before we meet with her. It wouldn't do well for me to be surprised at this meeting. We must hold the upper hand. She's clever. I must insist. The bond between the two of you, this debt unpaid. What did you promise her? What does she hold over you?
All she holds over me is my word, my integrity. If I didn't want to do it, I could just leave her, give her nothing. But when she like waggles a finger at him, you always meddling. Lysandra is strong on her own, does not need your help, does not need your interference. She has asked for my magic to support her cause.
In a duel of wits, what's the skill you roll for that action where you just like babble bullshit at them to try to confuse them away from the point? Because I feel like that's what's he asked you a specific question and then you just kind of like rambled around it.
Yeah, that would be, I think you can use either falsehood or let me go into the duel.
Yeah, what does obfuscate require?
It's either falsehood, oratory, poisonous platitudes, rhetoric, religious diatribe, soothing platitudes, stentorious debate, suasion, ugly truth.
Okay.
So this could be one of either, you know, me calling him out is part of it, so it could be an ugly truth roll, or
I feel like that, like when you're saying like she doesn't need your help and like you said exactly what it was that was owed. Like I think the terms of the duel of wits were just like you support me in going for the throne instead of trying to persuade me that your way is better, right?
Yep, but what I'm also
the thing about him
is that he has another duel of wits promise, or he's not supposed to interfere with your shit.
But he also explicitly doesn't. He's said like we're gonna use her. I'm not here to help her or like whatever. She is an implement for us. So saying like she doesn't need your help. He's like, I know. We need hers.
That's not what this is about.
We need hers, but we need her not to know that we need her to help. We need to go in there and fucking bamboozle her. And I can't flim-flam this shit without you telling me what's up on your end.
How am I supposed to flim-flam?
Exactly. Stop fucking counter flim-flamming him.
Yeah, so is this like I get an option to try a different way? And then
yeah, exactly. This is me saying like the persuasion, do it for your own good is not going to happen, right? You failed. So he's pushing harder. And I think if you push back, right, you get another roll, but it's going to like escalate for him. He's going to be like frustrated instead of just kind of like goading.
You know, I don't know if I want to push it.
Yeah.
Because what actually, I'm just thinking again, like, what do I have beliefs about? I don't have a belief about like holding up my end of the bargain with Alessandra, though I will do it. It's not like so important to Agatha that she would risk her other stuff that she's pursuing. So I think she just kind of like sighs and like crosses her arms and deflates a little bit. And she's sitting in the usual place at his desk or whatever. Just says, as you know, she's an ambitious woman. She is seeking power at court. Of course she needs my help for that. That you worry about her, don't. She'll be fine. If you want to use her, then of course her ambition is the way. And I just kind of am like, peeved that he's being so difficult about it, but yeah.
This promise that you made to aid the Lady Corvidae, the terms were unspecific. She didn't ask you for something particular.
No.
He makes a sound and looks at you like, oh, well, the two of you both goofed up here because an unspecified favor is essentially worthless. And that he dismisses it. He's just like, oh, well, then it's nothing. Because I will help you to him. He's just like, no, you got to get that shit like specifically in writing.
I mean, it would have been more specific if I would have won harder.
For a guy who studies angels, she's sure acting like a devil.
So he says, well, I wouldn't ask you to shirk your promise. Giving someone your word is very significant. But let's hope that we can convince the Lady Alessandra that our goals are in alignment. I think you can help me with this. You'll come?
Yeah, she just shrugs.
All right. So he turns to Sufferance, who has been like hovering, and says, Sufferance, fetch us some cloaks. We're going out. And then we fade to break. So let's take a break there, and we'll come back. And we'll do some Lodowick, and we'll check out Joy, and then we can have this Robillard, Agatha, Alessandra meeting. Oh, I'm excited. All right, stick around. We'll be back in just a little bit.